Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome to the course Nutrition for the Family. This is the first module, that is meal planning, and this is the last lecture of this module in which we shall be studying about principles of meal planning. I am Dr. Jaspreet Kaur, presently working as Associate Professor in Government College for Girls, Ludhiana, Punjab, affiliated to Punjab University, Chandigarh. And this project is funded by DTH Swayam Prabha, MHRD, New Delhi. In the previous lecture, we had studied about different factors affecting our food related behavior, in which we studied about biological factors, then economical and physical factors, social factors, psychological factors, and other factors such as attitudes and beliefs. In this lecture, we shall be studying about the principles of meal planning. And for a meal planning, we have to study about three aspects. And the first aspect is nutritional aspect of meal planning. Second aspect is economical aspect of meal planning. And third is the psychological aspect of meal planning. We have already studied about the definition of meal planning. As we know, it is a simple exercise which involves applying the knowledge of food, nutrient requirement, and individual preferences to plan adequate, economical, and acceptable meals. Then we also studied about various factors which affect our meal planning, ranging from nutritional to economical to geographical and many personal factors. So we need a food guide to prepare a well-balanced meal. That food guide is different type of food groups. We shall be studying about these food groups in our further lectures. So these food groups, they provide various kind of nutrients, and including these nutrients in right amount, in right proportion, they will keep majority of the individuals in good health. And in these food groups, we get different type of nutrients such as carbohydrates, which comes from cereals and grains. And then we need proteins, which come from various vegetarian and non-vegetarian sources. Along with that, we get vitamins and minerals from a variety of leafy, colorful vegetables and fruits. And then we need energy from oils, and we have sugars. What meal should look like? This is a image of my plate for the day to prevent hidden hunger and protection from diseases. This My Plate for the Day has been developed by ICMR, National Institute of Nutrition, Hyderabad. And this shows how we can use all the food groups to make a healthy and balanced plate. Now, once we have discussed the concept of meal planning and various factors which influence our meal planning, let's study about the principles of planning perfect meals for our family. We shall study the principle of planning good meals under three heads, in which we will discuss three aspects, that is nutritional aspect, second will be economical aspect, and third will be psychological aspect. The individuals, they differ in the kind and amount of food they consume each day. But there are certain nutrients, for example, carbohydrate, protein, fats, minerals, and vitamins, along with water, which should be present in suitable amount in everyone's daily diet. the family meals must be planned to meet the individual needs. So therefore, menu planning should have few important nutrient consideration. Let's study. It is essential that a combination of three meals it provide a selection of food which will mostly suit the needs, the preference, the habits and the activities of individual family members. For that, the first important point is that it should fulfill the nutritional requirements of the family members. So, a good menu should not only provide adequate calories, fats, and proteins, but also minerals and vitamins which are essential for well-being of each member of our family. A balanced diet ratio of energy distribution from all the food groups should be ensured, and along with that, the food should be hygienically prepared. And the second aspect is it should fulfill the family needs. So proper meal planning fulfills nutritional requirements of the family members. As we have already read that dietary needs they vary widely from person to person, and they are influenced by many factors such as activity, age, body build, sex, then nutrition and health status, climate, season of the year. And for this reason, family meals should be planned to meet the individual needs of a variety of family members. A good meal planning improves the quality of food. For example, a smart meal plan will enhance the vitamin B complex and vitamin C value by sprouting and fermentation. Similarly, the cereal pulse combination can be used to improve the protein quality. And along with that, if we include soybean, it will also increase the protein content. Iron content can be increased similarly if we include vitamin C rich foods in our diet. For example, we can use amla, we can use guava, and nutritional adequacy of each member has to be considered while planning meals, especially when we are planning calorie deficit diets. When we are reducing the calories, we have to focus on the other nutrients. That means the protein content, that means the availability of vitamins and minerals. So, nutrient density has to be taken into consideration. We have to ensure that we include locally available foods as they will be cost effective also and they will be nutritious also. And lastly, we should use good healthy foods to prevent the deficiency symptoms and prevent the non-communicable diseases also. Along with the nutritional point of view, cost of meal is also important aspect for most of the families. The actual cost of buying a food for family depends upon income, then size and composition of the family, the general level of the prices and the kind and quality of food selected. The knowledge and skill of person who prepares the food will have direct bearing on the cost. So our planning should be such that it is according to the family means. It saves time, energy and money. It is utilizing the leftover foods nicely. It is using the economy on purchasing the food items. The meal should always be planned according to the budget of our family. For example, cheap sources having similar nutritive value should be preferred than costly food items. And all purchases can be done in bulk whenever possible. And a similar example is citrus fruits. They can be replaced with the cheaper sources. For example, we can use amla, we can use guava as cheaper sources of vitamin C. And along with that, yellow colored fruits and vegetables, they can be used as sources of vitamin A. And similarly, ragi, green leafy vegetables, sesame seeds, they are very good sources of calcium. So, and along with that, important thing is they are cheaper sources of nutrients. The meal plan should be able to save time, it should be saving energy, it should be saving money. So for that, food can be selected and preserved when they are in abundance. And along with that, we can plan simple, easy to prepare, balanced meal for the family. For example, we can go for single pot meals, which are easier to prepare and they are tasty also. And time and energy saving devices can be used so that same time can be used for some other activities. And using the leftover food nicely is very important when we consider the economy of our food items. The leftover food, they should be used properly to innovate new recipes, and it improves the quality of food, because here we are combining different type of food which might be from different food groups, so it will improve the quality of the food. Another important benefit of using leftover food would be it will decrease the food wastage. Otherwise, it would also add to the cost of our meal. And it adds to the variety and breaks the monotony. For example, leftover potatoes or leftover dal, it can be combined to make nutritious tikis, as you can see in this image, and it can be served as a totally different kind of meal. It is very important to practice economy when we are purchasing food, because this is a point where we can either save lot of money or we can spend or waste lot of money. So this needs awareness, knowledge and wisdom. And here are some important tips which can be utilized to see that we are practicing economy for purchasing our food items. So the first important thing is we should prepare a shopping list to avoid extra trips to the market. Second important thing is that economical sources of nutrients should be found. For example, if we are using root vegetable, they are cheaper sources of energy. For example, potato, carrots, they are cheaper sources of energy. And similarly, yellow, red, orange vegetables and fruits, they are rich in vitamin A, and similarly guava and amla, they are rich sources of vitamin C. And similarly, we can use pulse as very good sources of protein. It is important that we create a food budget. Now, this food budget will change from place to place, from region to region. For example, a rural family will have a different kind of food budget, and urban family will have a totally different kind of food budget, which will be based on the availability and cost of food items. For example, rural people who have easier access to the food which is naturally fresh and which is little cheaper also, and they can grow their fruits and vegetables and grains in their field. They can plan the crops accordingly, according to the need of their family, and diversify if they have available land, and they can procure these things accordingly, which can be kept for a longer period of time. For example, grains, for example, vegetables. And when it comes to the urban population, here they cannot have similar facilities just like rural population, but they can always go for some kind of kitchen garden, so that at a given time they are able to get some kind of fresh fruits or vegetables in their kitchen garden that will help in setting a good food budget. And another important tip is we should use the gift, discount, or offer coupons for actually needed items. This will prevent wasting it on non-essential things. But because usually when we see some discount thing and we go to a supermarket or any place and then we tend to buy few things which we actually don't need. So we should not be spending our hard-earned money on buying things which we may not be using, and seasonal items should be preferred. Why should we prefer seasonal items? Because they are not only fresh, not only they are nutritious, they are tasty also, but most important, they are economical. You will get them at a very cheap price when they are seasonal. Another tip is when we are buying certain things, we should use the unit pricing to find one brand and container of food that will cost least for the quality which we are looking for. For example, we can compare the price of flour. For example, how much 1 kg flour of one brand costs, and we can compare it with the other available brands, and then we can choose whichever is the cheaper one. It is important that we read label carefully because then only we will be knowing that what are the ingredients which are there in the food and what is the nutrient content, how much is the cost, and what is the date of the manufacture, and when is that food will be expiring if we are buying the things which are there in the packed form. Another important tip is we should buy perishable food in limited quantity. It will not only avoid the wastage, it will be economical also, and the nutritional value of the food will also be higher because these perishable things naturally they will spoil very easily if we buy them in larger amount. And another important tip is do not shop when we are hungry or tired or in a hurry because in these conditions we tend to buy more, we tend to spend more. We should evaluate our purchase critically to check the economy on the food purchase and justify the foods which we bought which were not there in the list earlier. Now we have discussed the nutritional and economical aspects of meal planning. So let's study about the psychological aspects of meal planning now. The psychological or aesthetic factor in meal planning should not be overlooked. Food must appeal to the appetites of the people who are to eat, and the appetite is a psychic reaction. So it is to be given its due importance. Simple foods that are well prepared, seasoned to enhance the natural flavor, and served in pleasant surroundings, they are tempting and enjoyable. The table setting, the decoration, the method of service, they all contribute to the eye appeal of the meal. Now, let us explore the effect of different characteristics of food on our psychology. So, the first effect which we are going to study is effect of color. Color makes a universal appeal, and most well-cooked foods they have beautiful, pleasing, natural color. And careful combination of colors, skillful garnishing that makes food attractive. Natural vegetables, salads, desserts, they are useful carriers of color in our meals. And it is important that we avoid colorless and same combination foods together. We should select dishes in each meal so that when they served together, they look attractive, colorful. For example, if we use green moong dal, green leafy vegetable, and dhania chutney, all of them together, they will actually look very unappealing and monotonous in the color. So imagine if we give it a twist, what we can do if we give green moong dal, tossed potato bhaji, which will be yellow in color, and along with that, we serve a tomato salad, which is red in color. The combination of colors that will make the food more attractive. So, this was the first point. Along with color, the flavor of food is also very important. Flavor perception is a sensory reaction which involves sense of smell, taste, and it adds much to the pleasure of eating. Imagine taking warm soup which is emitting the flavor of different vegetables and little bit of butter and herbs. It will add to the taste of the dish. So flavor is another important parameter which will affect our psychology. The effect of texture is also very important when it comes to making a good meal plan. Contrast of textures of food, it will add to the pleasure of eating. Texture refers to softness, crispness, smoothness, dryness, or moistness of a food. And it has an interesting effect on the perception of food flavors also. Some foods should be chewy, some could be soft, others should be crisp. For example, fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains, they can give texture to the meal. Now, mixing of textures that make food pleasurable. For example, if we add papad or salad along with the soft texture foods such as dahi or dal, it will enhance the texture variation and will make our food more palatable and interesting. When it comes to temperature, serving should be at right temperature. The balance between hot and cold foods add to the interest of the meal. For example, no one would like to drink cold tea or hot ice cream. So, hot or cold foods should be selected according to season. Balance between rich and light foods should be maintained to make a very good balanced meal. Highly seasoned food, they should be avoided for young children and young adults because it affects the natural flavor of food and it can actually alter the taste of the dish also. Whenever we are using very rich foods or highly seasoned foods, it is good if we can use some mild food to enhance its richness and making a balance between richness and lightness and enhancing the taste. Let's talk about the effect of shape on food acceptability and making the meals interesting. Variety can be introduced in the meals if we use different methods of preparation and we select different shapes to make food. For example, you must be knowing that paranthas, they are made in different shapes, in triangle, in a circle, or in square shape. And kids, they actually enjoy when we use different type of foods such as smileys to make the same food look different and attractive. When it comes to season, menu should be changed with the change of season because each season will bring its characteristic food. For example, in summers, seasonal fruits such as mango, it can be used in a variety of food items. We can make ice cream out of it, and we can use them in shakes. We can make puddings to enhance the taste of our meals. When we plan our food properly, it is palatable and it is appealing to the eyes. And it is important that we bring variety in color, flavor, texture, and method of cooking to enhance the palatability of our meal. Each family has its own habits typical of its region or religion, etc. North Indians are wheat eaters, South Indians they are rice eaters. Similarly, fish is a regular part of Bengali meal. So religion, tradition, and custom of the family are to be considered when we are planning our meal. Whatever we are planning for our meal, say it is breakfast or lunch or dinner, it should provide satiety. So, what is satiety? That means the feeling of fullness. A person should not feel hungry till the next meal. It will be achieved by when we select the food from various food groups which provide fiber, fat, and protein rich items. All these things they add to the satiety of our meal. A very important point for a good meal plan is that it should be flexible. Now, meal is something which should be a very enjoyable and satisfactory feeling for the host or whosoever is serving the food and whosoever is eating the food. It should not be forced on someone. And many a time what happens, there are some unexpected changes which should be adopted. Say we get some guests and where we have to modify the whatever our initial meal plan was, which may not be liked by other family members. And secondly, it could be that there is sudden illness in the family. We have to cook some other food for that, and there could be some miscalculation which for which we should see that there is more food which is prepared and loads of leftover food is there which has to be used in the next meal. So in all these cases we should be able to exercise the flexibility in creating and recreating the food so that we are not wasting the food of our previous meals, and at the same time we are meeting the needs of our all family members. So let's summarize what we have studied in this lecture. We had studied about the principles of meal planning. In the principles of meal planning, we studied it under three heads, that is, nutritional aspect, in which we studied that the meal plan should fulfill the nutritional requirements. It should fulfill the family needs and should be according to the lifestyle of our family. Then it should be able to improve the quality of the food. And then we studied the economical aspect of the meal planning, in which we studied that it should be according to the family means. It should save time, energy, and money. And then it should be able to use the leftover foods. And economy on food purchase was also discussed, in which we studied about special tips to save money while purchasing food for our meals. And then we studied about the psychological aspects of successful meal planning. We studied about the effect of color, where we saw that the careful combination of colors by using combination of different type of food items and skillful garnishing can make the food look very attractive. Then we studied about the flavor. It is a sensory reaction which involves smell, taste, and adds to the pleasure of eating. Then we studied about texture. We studied that there are different type of textures. So the softness, crispness, smoothness, dryness, moistness of food. We should combine different texture to create good, interesting combinations. Then the food should be served at right temperature. That means the cold food should be served cool and the hot food should be served hot. And rich food and the light food, they should be delicately balanced. Then we studied about effect of shape. We studied that it will add to the variety and will be very attractive for the small children. And then we talked that it is very important that the meal should change with every season, because every season brings its own freshness, it brings its own fruits and vegetables. So this will freshen up our meal also. Then we discussed that it should be palatable. The meal should be palatable when it appeals to our eyes. So the cook has to be, or the planner has to be very careful regarding the palatability part. And along with that, we discussed that the planning has to be based on our culture, on our religion, tradition, and customs, so that whosoever is eating is able to enjoy the food nicely. And along with that, we discussed that it should provide satiety also. It is the feeling of fullness till the next meal. And lastly, we discussed that a successful meal plan has to be flexible. That is, whenever we need to change it, we should be able to make a new and interesting meal out of leftover food, or we should be able to change the menu whenever the need arises. This will enhance the acceptance of food by all the family members. So this finishes our chapter, Principles of Meal Planning. Thank you very much. Summarize this module. In this module of meal planning, what we studied some basic definitions and terms, that is food, functions of food. Then we studied the term nutrition, health, nutritional status, nutrient requirements. Then we defined malnutrition and its types, that is overnutrition and undernutrition. Then we talked about nutrients and its types, that is macronutrients and micronutrients. We defined diet, and then we understood the concept of balanced diet. Lastly, in the first lecture, we studied about important points to be considered to formulate balanced diet. In the second lecture, we studied about meal and meal planning, and we studied that why we should plan meals in advance. Then we studied about the steps to plan menu, that is planning, purchasing, preparing, and serving, all exercises related to meal planning. And then lastly, we studied what are the various factors which will affect the meal planning. In the third lecture, we studied about the factors which affect the food related behavior and our food choices, in which we studied various determinants such as biological, economical, social, physical, psychological, and some other factors. And in the last lecture, we studied about principles of meal planning, in which we studied about the nutritional aspects, economical aspects, and psychological aspects of meal planning. So this finishes our first module of meal planning. In the next module, we shall be learning about the food groups and exchanges. Thank you.